I'm Hillary, and welcome to my closet. Or today, my makeup case. A lot of us in the luxury space like Hermes makeup. You know, there's a reason these brands have these makeup lines. It's a way to get a piece of the brand. And also, from what I've heard, Hermes makeup is really good. I'm wearing this balm lipstick right now. I might actually go pick it up. I'm currently using a sample. But one thing I low-key got into this year is the Hermes brushes. Now, the general summary I have for them is that they are generally good quality brushes, but there are things at the same price range or lower price range that are probably better. So I'll get to the ones that I absolutely recommend and say, hey, this is worth the money if you have it. And then the rest of it are really just kind of a splurge. Like, you're not going to be disappointed, but you are very much splurging because, like, the brush, just the aesthetic is amazing. And the aesthetic is partially why I went into Hermes to look at the brushes. Plus, I saw an influencer who bought an eyeliner brush, and I was like, that's something I don't have. So of the brushes I have a travel set. This also included a spoolie, but I don't do eyebrow stuff, so I gave that to a friend. There was also a travel case, and that also went to the same friend. So the makeup of this is, the travel set was like $550. You can't get any more. Whether it's worth it secondhand, I will go into. But the powder is goat hair. The shader is a mixture of goat and synthetic. The lip brush is synthetic. This is going to be goat, and then the complexion is synthetic. In general, most of their brushes seem to be either goat hair, a mix of goat, synthetic, or just synthetic. And then of the regular line brushes that I have the eyeliner brush. I have a precision detailed brush, and I recently bought the foundation brush. Notice the foundation brush basically looks like a bigger version of the complexion brush. This is a mixture, this is also a mixture, and then this is synthetic. So those are the brushes I have. Of the rest of the brushes, the ones that I'm interested in and mostly kind of complete the set is the powder brush. They have a normal version of this brush. There's another precision. There's kind of a smaller precision brush. There's kind of a smaller fluffy brush that'd be good for, like, if you need to do highlighter, kind of want to do, some lighter blush. So it's kind of meant to be used on there. And then there's a blending brush and then a shader. Brushes that they have that I have no interest in is there's kind of a squat travel kabuki brush. I don't use that for any of my makeup. So there's a spoolie. I don't do eyebrow stuff. A lip brush. And then there's a palette and spatula. The palette and spatula looks cool and aesthetic, but I don't do my makeup that way. Overall, the brushes are all handmade in France, and the handle is wood and lacquer. So they're beautifully made brushes. So you're paying for the name and the aesthetic, and they do seem very well made. So let's start with the travel set. It is limited edition, but you can find listings for it on Poshmark. Overall, if you have the money to burn and you would like a travel set, sure. But of these, I don't think it's really worth paying resale for. I really love the small complexion brush. I suspect if they release a concealer, they'll make a bigger version of this. And the shader, the shader brush is really good. The blending brush is not my favorite blending brush. It works. I did this entire makeup look with it, but I like softer blending brushes, and the goat hair is not very soft. The lip brush is very useless to me. I think this is very much a luxury customer thing that I just do not do. I really wish they'd done a smaller version of the the angled brush, and that would have been the ideal set for me. And then the spoolie, as I mentioned, went to a friend. And the powder brush is good, but it's, you know, not the softest powder brush, but it's, you know, I can use it to apply I mainly use it to apply blush, but I have preferred blush brushes. And so that's kind of like 4 of 7 brushes that I actually liked. And honestly, for the same amount of money, you could just get the ones that you liked in the bigger size, because most of them, they are really duping the bigger brushes. So of the brushes that I have left, which is the Precision, the foundation, and the eyeliner, my favorite by far is this eyeliner brush. If you get one brush from Hermes, get this eyeliner brush. The thing I like about it is that it's soft enough that it picks up powder eyeshadow really well, but this tip is also stiff enough that it can create a really sharp line. So I have this Danessa Myricks, so we're gonna use this mat, and then it just creates this really great stiff. It just creates this really sharp line. And then obviously, if you really wanted to, you can kind of blend it out. Anyways, so this is my favorite brush by far. After that, I would say the foundation brush. This has become my new go-to foundation brush. I prefer more compact foundation brushes, and I just think this really applies foundation really well in a non-streaky way. I should not have been surprised considering I love the mini complexion brush. And then after that, I do really like this little precision brush. I don't know if it's better than anything else on the market though. Overall, in general, the brushes I feel like I tend to like are the ones that are either synthetic or a mixture. They just work better for me. So overall, none of these brushes are terrible quality. Like, you will not be disappointed if you decide to splurge and buy a bunch of Hermes brushes, but there are some that are much better than others, and there are some that I would say, if you want to, buy it, but I will give you some recommendations. So the brushes that I tend to like the least from Hermes are actually the eye brushes. Even though I rave about that eyeliner brush, the ones for doing most of your makeup look, which is sort of blending and shading, and sort of inner corner, or outer corner detail work, there's other brushes I like a lot better. If you were gonna buy something similarly priced, I really do like the Sonia G eye set. This whole set is $150, and this blending brush is much better than the blending brush. It's just a lot softer. I tend to prefer softer blending brushes. The blending brush in the Hermes set is just very not very soft to the eye. So I feel like it's good for kind of like applying something in the crease, but I want to go over it with something softer. So in terms of powder, I don't do like loose powder. I have normal to dry skin, so I don't really need to powder my powder. But I do apply a lot of blush. And in terms of my favorite blush brush is the one that every influencer has, which is why I got it, but it's the dual-ended, it's the Hourglass Veil Powder Brush. So there's kind of one that has smaller handles. This is the one that they released with the loose powder. I use this end to apply, and then I use this end to buff out. So this is my favorite powder brush by far. So for complexion, let's start with concealer, since my favorite brush of the travel set is a concealer brush. So I'd like to give you I don't have an exact dupe, but I have one that I really like to use before. So this is the Hourglass concealer brush, Vanish concealer brush. I really like it. It's obviously not as densely packed, but it's still it's angled. I prefer angled brushes. And then for foundation, my two favorites are the Hourglass Vanish foundation brush. So it's it's a very short and compact brush. I actually really like Hourglass brushes. And And then the other favorite I have is the Fenty 145 foundation brush. So to summarize, if you buy one brush from Hermes, make it the angled brush. If you buy two brushes from Hermes, make it the angled and the foundation brush. So that's my Hermes review. Hopefully this was helpful. Put any questions that you have down below. And thanks for watching.